You don't mean nothing to me. E-boys like you every dinner. I don't believe what you preach. You're just a rookie beginner. Hang out with boys in the street. Like that will make you a winner. I don't believe what I see. Why are you wearing gold? You're nothing more than silverware. Thinking you're so bold, but all you are is unaware. Walk around like everything belongs to you. Talk to me like I'm a young stupid fool. Take off all your clothes. You're nothing more than silverware. Why you calling me honey? Why you show off your money? Wave it like it's a tissue. Baby, this is your issue. I'm not falling for bullshit. If you like me, then say it. You don't get that I see through this facade that surrounds you. Growing up takes time, so don't you waste mine. You and me ain't right.
We are getting ready to go live, boys and girls. If you'd like to get a live reading during the show, make sure that you type free reading in the comments below, like Corey did. She beat you to it. We got 2 left. Hurry up.
Walk around like everything belongs to you. Talk to me like I'm a young stupid fool. Take off all your clothes. You're nothing more than silverware. I'm over you, so done with you. I'm over you, so done with you. Why you wearing gold? You're nothing more than silverware. Thinking you're so bold, but all you are is unaware. Walk around like everything belongs to you. Talk to me like I'm a young stupid fool. Take off all your clothes. You're nothing more than silverware.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. Thank you. Welcome to Ask a Wizard. Oh, boy, do we have a show for you here today. Oh, you're too kind. Thank you. You know what? For you specifically, yes, you know who I'm talking to. Good fortune. You're welcome. You are now cursed with good fortune. How are we all doing today? Let me go ahead and summon the spirit from the ethereal realm. Oh, PVs, can you make a noise for us?
Yes, I can.
Welcome.
Sorry, I had to unmute myself.
Well, what? Mute? Ghosts don't have mute. Do they? Is that a new thing? Do ghosts have mutes?
Yeah, our
Wow.
technology is advancing.
They're upgraded. That's pretty crazy. Okay, well, we're going to have to be careful with this because the last thing that we need is AI ghost. I feel like one ghost, fully acceptable. AI not being real, fully acceptable. But if it's AI ghost, that kind of fixes the whole problem of AI. The reason AI can't be real is because it doesn't have a ghost. This is a big problem. We need to get in on this. What do you think, O'Peeves?
I agree. But
Now,
if the AI for the ghosts is anything like Google Home, then we have nothing to worry about.
that's true. That is true. But the ghost aspect would solve that problem. Maybe that's what they're doing. Maybe they're harvesting human souls for AI. What do you think?
It's a possibility. We should not rule it out.
All right, now, guys, in today's show, if you do not learn the principle I'm about to teach you, you're going to be left behind in society. This is literally something that can completely change your life. I am going to explain an advanced philosophical concept to you guys from the philosopher Pareto. And at the end of that, you are going to understand this principle so well and have the ability to act on it instantly that you have no excuses. So if you take this lecture here today, if you absorb the information that I present to you and you do not act on it, your destruction, your failure in life is all on you. So you gotta pay attention and act on this wisdom that I'm gonna give you guys today, because this will help you in health. This will give you the ability to become rich. This will help you with your relationships. There is very few aspects of your life where what we're gonna teach you here today isn't going to fix and help and improve and optimize. So make sure you got your pen and papers at home. I guess that's a little outdated. Make sure you got a phone. We're gonna be teaching you to it, but we have some very important controversies to address first before we get into that today. The first of which being, I faked an accent for 2 weeks and 500,000 people. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's do this. 500,000 people did not comment on it. Can you believe that? So 500,000 people see our videos in the last week here. Three people mentioned that I was faking an accent the entire time. Can you believe that? Isn't that crazy? What's going on here?
Just
Chat.
goes to prove,
Yes?
It just goes to show that you can literally change your character. Nobody will say a word.
Exactly. You get all
So
these people
be
that are like,
who you want to be.
I'm afraid. I've always been the guy. We were just talking about this the other day. This 45-year-old man dressed in all goth, still putting on the makeup. He's got the whole cloak. Or no, he doesn't have a cloak. That's what he's missing. He needs a cloak. But old man in 20-year-old, I'm rebelling against society, man, clothes. And it is embarrassing. But I think what happens is these people get sucked in and they think, oh, well, my whole social circle knows me as the goth guy, so well, I gotta dress the part. You don't. You can literally just change on a spot. There's nothing holding you back. I just proved it to you guys. 500,000 people saw me faking an accent. 3 people noticed, and all of them were owls. The only people who noticed are my people. And so this is something you guys need to be looking into. I find this to be a wild experiment. These are the kinds of things I do. So for those of you who aren't, maybe you're new here, I produce practical philosophy, taking extremely complicated, complex, esoteric ideas, and I try to get those solidified down for you into a really simple, easy to understand way so that you can literally change your life. I firmly believe that every single lecture I put together is more valuable than my entire college education, which is at least $150,000 of value in my opinion. Now, before you get excited here, realize that college is the worst investment you will ever make in your life. No one should go to college. It is a complete scam. If you're going there, get out. You are failing yourself. You're ruining your life by going to college. Stop. YouTube has way better information for free. Do not go to college. The only reason college exists is for your parents to have an ego. That's all it is. It's your parents get to say, our special boy went to college and that makes him special and better than you. That's all that's happening. Get out of college. It is a evil organization. Stay away. Stay away from the darkness. That being said, each one of these philosophical principles can completely change your life. Now, I also like to help people with some personalized one-on-one guidance here, and we do that in the form of what's called a wizard reading. So, You may be familiar with what's called a tarot card reading. I don't do that. I don't talk to spirits, angels, demons, anything of the sort like that. Instead, what I've done is memorized archetypal stories, philosophies, and various books of wisdom with this deck of cards. And each one of them has a different message and piece of information associated with it. It's called a mnemonic system. It's a memory technique. And so, with that system, I try to find the right wisdom at the right time for the right person through a concept known as synchronicity. It comes from Carl Jung. I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a demo of what that looks like here by doing a reading for the room. Now, a reading for the room is not going to be specific for you, but for about 4 out of 20 people, is what I find to be about the ratio, you're going to lose your minds. It's going to be spot on to exactly with what you're going through in life and how you're handling things right now. And just, it is profound how powerful an impact that this can be. And what I want you to know is that when you do get a one-on-one, that experience will happen to you 90 to 98% of the time. When I do it for the group here, it will apply to a large portion of you, and I'm going to broaden it up. The reason this works is through the archetypal data called cognitive functions. We talk about that a lot more in later lectures here, so don't worry about that too much now if you want more of the details. So why don't we go ahead and get a reading going? By the way, we had a guy, he just cash apps me an obscene amount of money, and I'm like, out of the blue. Whoa, why? We did a reading for him. He tells me the reading that I gave him helped him so much. We have a little yapper outside my window right now. There's a little dog just going every 5 seconds. It's insane. I hope that doesn't come up on the mic. Anyway, this, where was I? So this guy gets cash apps me obscene amount of money. I'm like, what's going on? Apparently, the reading we gave him taught him a principle that was so powerful that he literally took it the next day, went to work, used the principle at his work, and saved like 5% of his entire company's expenses. An enormous company here too. So these principles can literally save you hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of dollars if you apply them well. So pay attention and let's get ahead here and get a reading for the room, shall we? Do 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 do. All right, what wisdom does this chat need here today? And in just a bit, we're going to be getting into the lecture here, so share this bad boy out for a principle that will teach you how to do more by doing less. Oh, what am I doing? There we go. And let's just confirm that that looks good here on the camera for you guys. There we go. We moved our table setup. It's a little incongruent. Here we go. All right, so looking into the past here, how did the past week go for you? What are the missing insights that you should have known that you may have missed? We're going to go ahead and take a look at that now. What we see popping up is the Two of Pentacles. So the Two of Pentacles is about a choice. It's saying that you're at a crossroad in life. This means that in the last week, there has been two options that have appeared. One feels like the choice and the call to adventure. It's this inspiration in your heart, like, oh, if I could only be an actor. I think of Piano Man is what comes to my mind. And it's that pull. And then there's another option that has appeared, which is the practical option. It's the option that, you know, this is obviously what I should do. It's so easy to do this and to get the life that I want, but does it drive my heart? Now, many people, when they arrive at this crossroad, feel like they have to choose between the two paths. Here's the thing. You don't. You don't have to choose between the two paths. The secret to this crossroad is to choose to do both. And what's so cool is today's lecture is actually going to teach you how to make that possible. Because I'm not going to sit here and tell you that this is easy. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say, oh yeah, it's just, you know, it's a walk in the park. It's not going to be hard at all. It's going to be so easy to just do both. I get it. It's hard. I wouldn't give you that advice if I wasn't doing it myself. It means sacrifice. It means not getting to watch as much Netflix. It means not getting to play as much video games. But the payoff is that you can live a great life and pursue your art at the same time. And it becomes easier once you start to learn how to really focus in on what matters most. So take that into consideration with your crossroads you're at right now. Let's move into the present moment here. Interesting. Okay, so what we see popping up is the Knight of Swords. So what the Knight of Swords is all about is taking action on logos. So what this is saying is right now, for the upcoming week, what you need to actually do is act on the strategies that you've been thinking about. Because I pick up on the sense that you are in a situation in your life right now where you have come up with a little bit of a plan on how you could pursue that art career, but it's been at the expense, or and I shouldn't say art, it's not specifically art, but your passion. But you're saying, I gotta stop doing what I gotta quit my job, I gotta get out of here and just pursue it. And you've got a strategy. What I want you to do instead is ask yourself, how could I test this out? Low cost, low risk, and keeping my job. Could I set up a farmer's market stand and do it on Saturdays and Sundays and keep my job? Find a way to execute that strategy without sacrificing your current situation, and I think you're going to have a lot more success. Now, let's take a look into the future. How is this going to turn out for you guys? Interesting. So what we see finally popping up here is the King of Cups. So the King of Cups is about knowledge of emotions. So what this is telling us is that a lot of what's motivating this split personality, this choice, these two paths, is actually tied to the heart. And you're doing it because you believe that by escaping this path of the job, you're actually going to find happiness. You're going to learn to follow your passion, if you would. However, the real secret you need to realize here is if what you're truly trying to pursue is what you love, is what you're passionate about, why aren't you willing to sacrifice lesser things so that you can do both right now? Why is it that you're still doing Netflix, still doing video games, still finding activities to occupy your time that could be spent pursuing that art? Is it truly the thing that's going to bring you happiness, or is it a dream that you've created to tell yourself it's going to make you better? You got to make sure that your dreams are set from your core foundation when you take these actions, because in many cases you could end up chasing not a dream but a mirage, and when you get there you find out it's just as painful to be there as it was where you were before. So make sure you're setting your plan strong and that it's coming not just from your emotions but from your core essence, your principles, your logic, the material world, and your emotions. All of those matter. You have to factor them all in. So that's what I see popping up here for you guys today. That is my reading here for the room. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Now, if that's something that resonated with you, let us know in the comments below. We love hearing about that. And if you want to experience this for yourself specifically, we're doing 3 readings at the end of today's stream. Corey has already taken one of those. So there are 2 readings left. If you would like to book one of those, please comment in the comment section below, free reading, and we will get that started for you. OPVs will take care of it. I see that we're kind of coming in and out of the internet connection here. Is it worth resetting, or should I just power through it? What do you think, OPVs?
I think just power through it because I'm not having any lag or playing.
Beautiful, beautiful. Awesome. All righty. And OPVs, you keep me up to date on that list and whatnot. Also,
We got 2 people.
Oh, sweet. Awesome. So we have 1 reading left available for you guys. So let's get into the lecture here today, shall we?
Yep.
Oh, I'll try and be professional this time. We'll put the overlay on. Oh, telling you, one step at a time. This is becoming a top-end production right here. Top end. I say it like a joke, but I mean, have you seen other streamers? Go to Twitch right now if you want. I guess that's exactly what you're not supposed to do, is tell people to go to Twitch or go off your stream. I don't care. Go check them out. Go see my competition. Go find the guy that's got like 100,000 people. Look at his setup. Honestly, he's probably in some bedroom. He's got no lighting. It's messy. He's got a closet. The dude's making like 50K a month. What's going on here, people? Is there no respect for the audience? I respect my audience, and it is just disgraceful what these people put out. With it. Imagine if you invested $50,000 a month into me. Look what you get here. Look what you get. Can you imagine? It's insane. It's insane. Absolutely. Now, let's get into our lecture, shall we? I'm going to take that as a yes. OPV's just staring off into space. This is what she does when I talk to her.
Of course.
When I'm having full conversations with her, I'm like, "So, Alex, what's your favorite pizza?"
Pineapple
and she just never answers. Never. There's no response, no information.
Okay.
She just stares into space. She's confused. She's lost. She's like a little deer. She's got little deer eyes. I look her in the eyes and I say, "Hello, dear." And she thinks I'm talking about deer as in deer. No, I'm talking about the animal deer. Okay, soundboard. Screw me up. Screw up the punchline. An animal deer. Thank you. Thank you, soundboard. Can you believe this thing? It's falling to pieces over here, aren't we? Now, you guys have to understand. You got to listen closely, because the information I have for you here today is literally going to give you a new view on reality. This is going to be extremely valuable to your health, your wealth, and your relationships, and it will improve all of them by the end of this presentation. But you have to pay attention, and most importantly, you have to act on the information. If you don't learn these principles, there is a solid chance you could literally get left behind in society and be just doomed. You don't want to fall into the NPC pit. So stick with me and let's learn from Pareto, the philosopher who developed this principle. Now, that's a little bit of a stretch to say that Pareto actually developed this principle. It's not exact. I'd say he's the first person to scientifically develop the concept, but the Pareto principle that it's actually referenced comes from a biblical passage. It's been around for pretty much all of recorded history, known as the Matthew effect or the Matthew principle from the Bible. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later on. But I want to give you a little bit of an overview of the history of where this concept comes from. So the first place that you typically find this is the Bible through the Matthew principle. You also find it from a Stoic philosopher known as Seneca. He talks about this in great detail in the book on the shortness of life, which we have available in the Wizard Library, by the way. And what it boils down to is what is colloquially known as the 80-20 principle. This was popularized by Tim Ferriss. And the observation that was made is the scientific discovery of Pareto. Now, Pareto was actually a monk. He was a Christian monk and a philosopher, and he spent a lot of his time studying botany. Now, this is confusing for a lot of people who've been brainwashed by the beast system. They think, what are you talking about? A monk doing science and stuff? No. You don't understand. All of good science has been produced by religious-minded people. The reason that there's this reproducibility crisis that you probably have never heard of unless you watch our show, which, by the way, if you're not familiar, 52% of all peer-reviewed science is not reproducible. What that means is when you say trust the science, you're saying trust something that's less reliable than a coin flip. It is completely hollowed out what we call science and turned science into a new cult. In reality, back when science was actually valuable, it was valuable because it was done by religious-minded people. The true reason that you pursue science is because God has created this world, and it is infinitely deep. There is so much depth to the creation that God has made. And that religious-minded pursuit is what drives people to do true science. How did God make this world, and what are the principles? How did he put it together? What's it made of? If you don't have that core drive to truly know the truth, then you cannot conduct true science. You just become susceptible to bias through the form of rhetoric. And so Pareto was one of these true scientists. He was a Christian-minded scientist, and he was looking to nature to understand principles. One of the principles that inspired him was actually the Matthew principle. And he wanted to see, this is interesting. You know, God says in this passage that we will discuss later that more or less that people who are given more will be given more, and people who are given less will be given less. And he went to observe that principle in the natural world. And so he studied pea pods. What he discovered was he would grow pea pods, and then he would pull out the pods, open them up, and he'd pull out the peas, and he would count them. He made a big old pile of peas, like you can see here, and he had a big old pile of pods. And what he discovered was only 20% of the pea pods produced 80% of the total peas. As you can see here, colored in green, that's the 80% that was produced by these pea pods. So it was a sort of biological confirmation of this biblical principle known as the Matthew principle, and that's where the term comes from. Now, what you have to understand is this principle is something that doesn't just happen in biology or in, spiritual principles. It actually happens in almost everything. It's a very strange phenomenon, but you can find an 80-20 ratio in almost anything that you pursue. So for example, if you wanted to look at health, you would find that 80% of weight loss is produced by 20% of the things that you do. So for example, what you eat, and when you eat, and what you eat, when you eat, and how well you sleep is about the 80-20 of weight loss. The vast majority of weight loss is produced by those three core concepts. There's all these other things: micronutrients, macronutrients. Am I getting my calories right? Am I exercising enough? Is this, should I go low carb? Should I go vegan? It really is quantity of what you eat, how often you're eating it, and your sleep quality. Those are the three factors that are going to produce the 80% of your weight loss. This applies to wealth as well. So this is where this principle starts to get really, really fun. Wealth 80-20 ratios tell you that 80% of a customer base, or 80% of your revenue, is produced by just 20% of your customers. Furthermore, it works in the inverse. 20% of your customers produce 80% of your problems. So it works in positive and negative. And you can also apply this to a micro level and a macro level. So it works on a positive and a negative, and it works on a macro level and a micro level. So you can also, within a macro 80-20, 80-20 the 80-20. There is no limit to what you can 80-20. So for example, you can say the 3 to 9 things that produce 80% of our company's sales is the macro level. And then you can get down to the micro level and say, of our ad campaign, 20% of our ads produce 80% of our revenue. So what this allows you to do, once you understand this principle properly, is to ask yourself this question: what's the 80-20 of this situation? What is the core principles that are making up the majority of the results? In fact, you don't have to just apply this to wealth or health. You can actually apply this to every aspect of your life. At the end of this lecture, we're going to show you an activity that you can do today, instantly, at the end of this show, to start getting happier in your life by applying this principle. We're going to show you how to do that here. But what's very crucial to understand is that these concepts work, but they only work if you are tracking your data. You can't just intuit it. You can't just say, I know what's the best. And to some extent, that's true and not true. Because you can kind of intuit a little, like it's very, if I told you, all right, what's the key principle in weight loss? Is it how many calories you eat or how much you eat? Or is it taking some supplement that you saw, I don't know, Alex Jones hawking yesterday? It's obviously you can intuit which one's going to probably have a bigger impact. So you can use a little bit of common sense. But in the beginning, whenever you start a learning journey, what you want to do is throw everything at the wall that kind of sort of makes sense based on good direction, get advice from people on YouTube, experts, people who are trying to do it, people who have succeeded. Throw it all at the wall and then track your numbers, see what actually produces results, and then you can start to formulate your Pareto's law. You don't want to just try and willy-nilly this, or you might end up with no results because you're missing a core principle. So very crucial to understand that concept. Now, where Pareto's principle gets kind of scary and interesting is that Pareto's principle does not just apply to the individual, business, and health. It actually applies to the society as a whole. So we find the Pareto principle distribution not just on the micro level of the companies and individual, but on the entire economy. This pyramid here shows the breakdown of it right here, where we've got the rich at the top. You've heard the 1%ers. Then you've got the 4% who are prosperous and the 15% doing a good life. And then way down here, 80% of the pyramid are people just struggling financially to make ends meet. Now, you might be looking at this and saying to yourself, look at that. That's such a horrible situation, isn't it? Can you believe 20% of people live a good life and only 80% have a terrible life? We clearly have a broken system, right? Wrong. We do not have a broken system because of this. We may have a broken system one way or the other. I don't know. But what I can tell you is that this does not tell you that the system is broken. This is a biological principle that has existed for all of human nature, and it exists outside of the biological as well. It affects even the laws of physics. So you have to realize this is not something that you can escape. No matter what the system is, you will always get a Pareto distribution, and you can make that Pareto distribution more. For example, you can make it 5% gets 95% of the results, but you cannot make it so that the system gets less. If you do, the thing comes to pieces. It falls apart. This is one of the many, many, many reasons the genocidal regime of communism does not work. What is interesting to note about is that this pyramid is not as evil, scary, or dark as you might be thinking to yourself. You might be sitting there saying to yourself, oh, those evil, evil rich boys at the top. Oh, they're so bad. What you don't see in this graph is that this pyramid is actually cycling. This is a cycle. There's a flow occurring within this. People from the bottom are moving to the top, and people from the top are moving to the bottom in a constant flow cycle. In fact, most people only spend, I think it's, and I'm coming off the top of my head here, so I apologize if this is an inaccurate statement, but I believe 10% of the US population will experience being in the top 1% of this pyramid for at least a period of 1 to 2 years of their life. So that is a missing key that most people don't realize about this pyramid. Is it's not this stagnant rich people at the top taking control of everything. No, it's actually a flowing cycle that's constantly changing and doing a lot of good for the world. But the final key you must understand is that the reason why people are in this bottom 80% and versus the top 20% is almost exclusively their own fault, their own decisions, their own actions. if you're living in America, I can't speak for third world countries. I don't know them. I'm assuming that these principles probably do apply there, but it's a little bit different when you're competing. Instead of with a business, you're competing with people with machetes and machine guns. So there is a little bit of difference there. But at least in America, there is virtually no reason nor excuse any human being can go from the bottom to the top 20% in their life. It is exclusively their own choices, and it is made even more apparent in the day and age of the internet. So we're going to go ahead and break that down here a little bit more with the spiritual aspects of this. So what is going on? What is separating the 20% from the 80%? Now, I gave this 18%, 82% because I like Tesla numbers. That being said, this is a general breakdown of the distinguishing factors between what puts someone in that top 20% of the pyramid versus the bottom 80%. Now, as you can see here, nothing on this chart says anything about being born in the right family, getting the right education, having the right situation at the right time. It's not on here. The reason it's not on here is because that is not what gets you to the top of the pyramid. It is actually a completely mindset, spiritual based concept. And the division here is the makers versus the takers. You can read more about this in the book written by Ayn Rand. Terrible author. Don't recommend reading her work. She is just horrendous. She takes thousands of pages to describe the most common and benign, obvious facts. It's infuriating, to be frank. That being said, if you're into redundancies and whatnot, you can check out her book. That's why it's not in the Wizard Library, by the way. The makers and the taker dynamic, though, is a great concept that comes from that book, despite its flaws. And what this basically is breaking down is the top 20% of the world has a mindset that is based on giving energy. They want to give to the world. They want to build, grow, and create. Their philosophy is not coming from taking. I want to make money. I want to get resources. I want all the food. I want all the acorns for me. That is not what the giver mindset is about. In fact, they are all about giving value, fixing people's problems. How can I help the local community I am in? How can I help the most amount of people? What can I do to benefit the world? That is what makes you fall into the top 20%. These are the people that are the heroes of the world. And so there is a distinction that needs to be made at the top of this 20% here. You'll notice there's a 3% at the top. That's the makers. And then there's a 15%, which is the characters. Now, the distinction I'm making here is that there is an even smaller subset of people who make things at the top. These are people who tend to be multimillionaires, billionaires, but there also is people who are not that financially successful, but they are wealthy. For example, farmers would fall into the maker category. People who grow food, people who make clothing. These people literally make things of inherent value. Then you have the second category, which is the characters. These are people who are living life within the matrix of the makers, and they are saying, here is the abundance that's around me. How can I help disseminate this goodness to the world? And those people are living from a first-person perspective of the world, and they have their own unique character. These are people who, these are your businessmen. These are people who are selling products, taking them from China and selling them to you at a markup so that they can make a little bit of profit for themselves. And these are very tight margins. These are people who make entertainment, people who say, hey, look at all this beautiful abundance the makers have produced for us. They built this beautiful theater. How can I produce art that will inspire people and make people feel great? That's where the characters fall in. And then in the bottom 80% here, 82% to be exact, is the takers. Now, this is the inverse of the energetic model. So while the top of the pyramid are coming from a giving perspective, where they are giving value, giving resources, they are letting money come in and then letting money flow out. That is a giving energetic pattern. People in the taker mindset are consumers. In fact, the famous Democrat called this class of people useless, mindless consumers. That's what they think of these groups of people. And I find that to be a bit derogatory, especially when you consider Aristotle also identified that about 50% of the takers can't escape the takers position. They are not able to think outside of this. And there is a lot of value in takers as well. They're a very misunderstood class of people. You know, people think of them in an evil way, and that's not true. In fact, most of the evil you see in society comes from characters that have broken out making up lies about the takers to get resources. Most common example is a character who will come and say, "Oh, these poor exploited takers. Oh, I'll help them. I'll give them so much if you just vote for me. If you just vote for me, I'll save all of you. I'm going to make your life so great." That's an example of a character taking advantage of the takers. Now, what puts a person in that taker energy is the desire for taking. It's a need, it's a want, it's a necessity. It's like, I need my food, I want my money. Oh, can I make my next check payment? Oh gosh, my bills are too high. There is this neediness, this grabbiness, and that actually causes these people to become stifled. It's a terrifying statistic, but I believe after 5 years, the average person who wins the lottery ends up in the same financial situation they were after just 5 years. Make hundreds of millions of dollars and they end up in the same spot. Why is that? Because it doesn't matter what resources you have. Resources do not affect your position on the pyramid. It is your mindset and spiritual foundation. If you have a taker mindset and I give you a bunch of money, it will be gone very quickly because you take. There's no giving. It doesn't flow. It stagnates and it burns away. It burns off the dead wood. So, how do we, with this concept of reality, how do we move up the pyramid? How do we go from the taker status to the character status or the maker status? And that is what I want to show you to do. But before we do, the last part I just want to put in here as this disclaimer is there is no morality associated with any of these statuses. A maker can be good or evil. The characters can be good or evil. The takers can be good or evil. There is nothing moral about these situations. And the reason I need to specify that very clearly here is that humans are stupid. And I apologize, but that's just the nature of reality. And you guys look at this and you see, oh, look, it's on the top of the mountain. I won't be at the top of the mountain. That doesn't, you don't need to be at the top of the mountain. That's not, you can live a great life in the taker paradigm. I would recommend the character personally. I think the characters is actually probably a lot better bet than being at the top. But there are certain people who are called for the maker position. And if that's you, then go for it, buddy. But it's not a moral judgment here. You're not, it's not that good people are takers or bad people are takers or anything of that sort. So make sure you understand that. So how do we put ourselves in a situation where we can move from one category to another? The first thing you have to understand is that there are multiple forms of value. There are multiple forms of currency in this world. And no, I'm not talking about Dogecoin, even though Dogecoin's awesome. Dogecoin to the moon. That being said, there are all sorts of value that exist in this world outside of money. For example, you might have value in your skills. You can learn to do something very well that has value. Perhaps it's that you bring positive energy. That's a type of value. Maybe it's just, for example, right now, you're bringing me your attention. That's valuable to me. And in return, I'm giving the value of a principle that once you fully understand it is going to completely change your life. And so that is an example of bringing value. And so you could share my post. That brings me value too. There are all sorts of currencies that exist in this world. And so if you have a deficit of one currency, all that you need to do is focus on the currencies you do have. You want to do a little currency audit. What could you Well, first off, what do you have? Maybe you have some stuff already laying around that you just hadn't considered that's very valuable about who you are. Now, the second thing you want to ask yourself is, what kind of currencies could I acquire in my current situation? Maybe I don't have very much money, but could I acquire social currency? Am I good at making friends? Could I get good at making friends? Because 20 guys together who all have each other's backs can afford a pretty good piece of property with very little money if you split it between 20 people. It's the kinds of thinking you want to think about. Another form of currency is strategic thinking, like I'm giving to you here right now. Assess your currencies and then leverage them to get the form of currency that you want. So if you want money, go find the currencies you have, find a market to exchange them for the currency you do want, and you will move up the pyramid. So the first principle you must understand is that there are different forms of currency in this world. The second principle you have to understand comes from the Bible, which is that you must take care of what God gives you. If you are given little, treat it with the greatest of respect, and you will be given more. This sounds, this whole manifesting thing, right? You're thinking, oh, this is an esoteric principle. And it is an esoteric principle, but it is also true. And the Bible presents us with a very interesting parable of this, where an rich man has 3 employees, and he comes to these employees and he says, "Hello, employee number 1, I hand to you a bag of fine silver. Here is 9 pieces of the greatest silver of all the land." He hands him a silver bag, right? Goes to a second employee and says, "Here, come to me, sir. Here I have for you 6 gold pieces. Go forth and do with them well. Treat them with respect." And he goes to the third and he says, "For you, sir, I have 3 pieces of silver. Here you are. Treat them with the greatest of respects. I want you to take care of my wealth while I am away." And he leaves these servants with his money. And for a few years, he's gone because he must go and take care of his business in another nation. And after 2 years, he returns back and he comes to the servants and he says, "Hello, servant. I have given you 9 pieces of silver. What do you have for me?" And he says, "Welcome back, sir. Here is 18 pieces of silver. I invested them in the stock market and they went up for you. And I tracked the companies that I thought were going to go well, put the money in there, and now you have twice as much silver as you had before. Oh, thank you very much. Here is 100 pieces of silver, and I want you to keep 10 of them at the end next year." Lets him go. The second man comes forth. He says, "You gave me gold, sir. I had 6 pieces of gold, and now I bring you 9. Here is 9 pieces of gold. What I did was I took the gold that you gave me. I bought myself some equipment to go and wash windows. And so I went door to door and I washed people's windows. And now I have much more money because of the gold you gave me. I see that you've done great. Here is 1 gold piece for yourself, and here is 12 gold pieces for you. Grow this expansion, and I want you to keep from yourself 20% of the profit." And so he went forth and started his window cleaning business. The third man came and presented himself with his 3 silver pieces, and he said to him, "Well, I didn't want to ruin your investment. I was worried and concerned, so what I did is I just buried it in a hole. And here it is. Here's your silver pieces back." And the boss looked at the servant and said, You've done nothing for me. You've brought me no value. Here, give the silver to them," and hands it to the man with gold. "You no longer work for me. Go find another job." This is the nature of how the Pareto principle works. If you do not treat with respect the value that you are given, you will stagnate. You will not get more. The people who are given more, well, let's just read the Bible instead of me trying to quote it for you here. I put it on that slide. Okay, cool. Sorry about that. My apologies. So that's the parable that we're talking about here that talks about the Matthew principle. Now, I want to bring that out of the Bible phases, because that can be hard for some people. Some people hear the Bible and they go, oh, that's weird spiritual woo-woo stuff. So let's look at it in a modern example by taking a look at someone who applies this principle perfectly. The legend himself, Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast is a living example of the Matthew principle. So, and the quote for you guys here that I totally flubbed on earlier is, for whoever has will be given more, and they will have an abundance. Whoever does not have, even what they have will be taken from them. Matthew 25:29. And so, when the Lord comes to you, if by chance, by a job, by a small apartment, maybe all you can afford is a $500 a month room in a home, and you're making minimum wage, treat that resource with respect. Make that home a beautiful, clean, and kind and amazing place. Think to yourself, could I set this up? If Christ himself was to come over for dinner next week, would I be prepared? And that is what you need to think of when you are given these gifts. And if you apply those two principles with this last one that I'm going to teach you, you are going to have what you need to start exiting the taker mindset and moving into the top 20% of the Pareto pyramid. The third concept is Mr. Beast here. So Mr. Beast is all about a reflection of the giving and taking energy. Why does Mr. Beast, how has Mr. Beast acquired more subscribers than any YouTuber in history? Why is he getting hundreds of millions of dollars a year to his YouTube channel? What is he doing? Is he taking? Is he trying to grab the money and hold on to it and invest it and make his money for himself and just make himself grow and make his life better? No. What Mr. Beast does is when he makes money, he takes that cash and he invests it back into his audience. When money flows into Mr. Beast, he spits it back out with value. He converts that into value for you. And by creating that giving cycle, it causes him to continue to get better and better. And each time he does, he tries to do more with his resources than he did the previous time. So because of that, he enters into this amazing upward cycle that skyrockets him to the top. Now, when he gets these resources and branding, he then funnels the additional cash into business ventures that go on to help people in need. He gives to people who need food, people who need shelter. He builds restaurants. He helps struggling restaurants during pandemics to get additional revenue sources. And so because he has that giving mindset, money is funneled into him, and the world gives him value, and they see what he does with the value that has been given, and they see how good he produces it, how much respect he gives to their giving, and that encourages them to want to give more, and it causes a cycle of growth. This is a real-world example of this principle at play. However, the inverse of this principle is still here in the Bible quote. The opposite of this is also true. If you are given and you take and you are a taker and you do not go in it with a giving, flowing energy paradigm, you will start to spiral down. You will get less and less and less. It doesn't matter how much you're given. You can make millions. And if you are given millions within just a few short years, you'll find yourself right at the bottom again with the taker mindset, just like we see with the lottery. So it is not about the money. It is not about who you are born into. It is about your spiritual paradigm that causes these upward trends and downward trends. And you must master these spiritual principles if you want to break free of the taker's pyramid. Now, the final aspect that I'd like to cover for you guys here today is how do we start applying this to ourselves right now? What is something that you can do today to completely change your life with the Pareto principle? And so what I want to do to bring this into your own day is to make you very happy. I would like to bring you joy and happiness so that you can look like this puppo right here. And we will teach you how to do that right now. The first step is an 80/20 audit of your time. What I want you to do, starting, I suppose, tomorrow, you are going to wake up, and I want you to track from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed how your time is used. Just take notes. You don't want to get analytical about it. Don't try and mess it up. We want to get a normal snapshot of your day and just track that. If you want to get fancy, you could do this for a week as well. Get a snapshot of your day, and when you do, you're going to then audit that time. Where is 80% of your time going? And what are the 20% of activities that produce 80% of the time loss? That's what we want to identify. Then you're going to take those activities down and you're going to write next to them. Do those activities that are bringing you these things, taking up 80% of your time, are they bringing you happiness? Write that down off to the side. Are they bringing you sadness? Write that off to the side. And what we want to identify is, of the 80% of your time, the 80% of your day that you're spending is at the 20% of activities that are producing 80% of your time. You've got a small subset of activities that are taking up the majority of your time. We want to identify which one of those are producing the most of your happiness. And we're going to set this off to the side, the 80/20 of your time, and the ones that are identifying, we want to identify the ones that are producing 80% of your sadness from your time. Then we want to see, can we just remove the ones that are taking up a huge chunk of our time and bringing us sadness? Is that possible? Can we just remove the things? Maybe, for example, you go and you look at your time and it's like, I spend 3 hours on YouTube, maybe, or on social media, scrolling on TikTok. Is that making you happy? And then ask yourself, do you feel fulfilled? Do you feel like it's growing? Is that making your day better? Or is that 3 hours that could be spent on something else? And perhaps it is. And what would we want to spend that time on? Well, that's where the second category comes in. What produces the majority of your happiness? Well, if there is an activity that produces the majority of your happiness, by taking away the time that's spent on your sad activities, you can pull that out and put it right into doing more of what already works. So you can spend time on the things that you enjoy more and thereby amplify your overall happiness. So what is it that I'm doing right now to make this work? I'm simply taking this principle that you now understand and have learned, and I'm applying it to my emotions. I'm applying it to happiness. I'm applying it to my time. You can start to do this with anything you do. Maybe it's finding out what your favorite food is. What are the 20% of meals that produce 80% of your happiness? What are the 10 meals that you have that you just love? Could you just master those meals and learn how to make them healthy and then create a meal plan for yourself? There's an example of applying the 80/20 principle to your health and your cooking. You can apply this principle anywhere. And what I would recommend you guys do is start with this emotional one, because every human being has emotions and every single person can start applying this no matter what situation they're in, and it will free up more time for you and make you a happier person. So get started on that today. Now, to end this subject, I'm going to communicate to your subconscious. This is known as a paracosm. And so if that's not your kind of thing, you can go ahead and put it on mute. We'll be back in about 5 to 10 minutes or so. But what I'm going to do is give your subconscious a narrative structure so that you will fully 100% understand this process in its entirety. The lecture has given your conscious mind all the principles, but your subconscious has not learned how to build this into a habit. So we're going to be doing that for you here in just a moment. So in 3, 2, 1, we're going to be starting right now. Now, for this to work, I just want you to go ahead and play with your imagination at home. Just imagine like when you were a kid and play pretend. I'm a wizard, okay? I can do magic. I can make anything happen here. And in your mind, I want you to just hear this story now as you go deeper and deeper into a deep state of relaxation. And I want to tell you this story about 2 fighters. I was hosting a cage fight between 2 men who had never fought before. They didn't know anything about fighting, no MMA, nothing. And they both had the option to go and practice a martial art for a week and then they would come back and fight. Well, the first fighter went and he tried to learn all the different skill sets. He took a full course. He learned about punches, he learned about kicks, he learned about chokeholds, he learned about self-defense, stances, and more. All sorts of techniques he was mastering. The second one came. And instead of doing that, he went to an old MMA expert. He said, I got a week. What's the most important things? What is the basics? Teach me the absolute fundamentals. And so the MMA man taught him, and he learned all these core principles, and he chose just 3 of them from the things the MMA man told him, and he focused on just those 3 things. In this case, it was a punch, stance, and a block. And so they got to work, and both of the men trained as hard as they could from sunup to sundown to master their martial art. On Saturday, they gave themselves a day of rest, and they relaxed and got ready for the fight on Sunday. When Sunday arrived, the fight began, and it wasn't even close. The man who focused on the core principles destroyed the man who had taken the full course because he focused on what mattered. He learned the 80-20 principle of fighting, and he was able to rapidly grow and rapidly defeat his opponent. And this is something that you can learn to apply now, because just like you can see how this fighter wins now, you can find that you're going to start to apply that in your own life, in your own health, in your own wealth, in your own relationships, and every aspect of your life now, asking yourself this one question. What is the 80-20 of this situation? Ask yourself that now. And that, my friends, is the lecture for you here today on the Pareto principle. I hope that that was helpful for you guys today. I know if you guys are not an owl, this might have been hard for you to keep up with. This is extremely high level concepts. We have a Q&A section here at the end so we can answer your questions. But before we get into that Q&A, you need to understand something. Everything I told you today will not work. It's all useless. That is, unless you choose to actually act on it. If you choose to act on this knowledge, it will change your life. If you don't, you just wasted 30 minutes of your day that you'll never get back. What are you doing? If you apply this correctly, you're going to make more money. You're going to have better relationships. You can literally make your dreams come true. But you just saw the information. Most people do not act. That's because most people are takers. We just saw that on the pyramid. So, I have a sales pitch for you. I'm going to give you 3 tricks right now to increase your chances of actually going from the taker to the maker paradigm. Here's the 3 tricks. First, you need to have a circle of people around you that are all trying to make it. You need to surround yourself with people who want to be in the giver category, people who want to move up in this world, that want to achieve things so that they can hold you accountable and you can hold them accountable to living your best life. That's the first step to taking action rather than just seeing information. The second step is about consistency. It's about surrounding yourself in information that is pushing you towards that. Are you regularly seeking out high-level wisdom from philosophy, from self-help, from self-improvement, from great YouTubers, from people who are experts in what you're trying to do? Are you constantly seeking that information out and surrounding yourself with it, with podcasts, with YouTube channels, with activities, with conferences? That is the second thing you must do to push yourself out of the seeing mode and into the action mode. And the final step is investing. What you invest in, you value. I want to tell you this. You just saw this show. Take a look at the viewers. There's not that many people here. 500,000 people saw my videos last week. 500,000 people. How many people are here taking action right now? It's a very small percentage of that, right? Why is that? If I charged $1,000 for you to see what you just saw, how much more would you have focused? How much more would you have paid attention? would you have been taking more notes? You'd probably be rewinding this thing, watching it back, tracking every single word that I said. Now, why is that? It's because you would have invested in it. Investing in things gives you motivation because you have put a cost into you achieving your best life. So those are 3 tricks that you can use to motivate yourself to go from the position of being a seer and taking and becoming a giver and becoming a maker. Those 3 tricks will help you do it. That is one of the reasons we developed the Parliament of Owls. This is a place where you can commit right now to yourself, to achieving your dreams. You can put $9 of your money into the Parliament of Owls and support what I do so that I can help produce that consistent content to get great ideas into your head so that you can join a community of people that are like-minded and trying to live their best life. And you can put your money where your mouth is and start taking action on the ideas you get instead of just consuming the ideas that you get. Those are all attained right now by going to the pinned comment in our YouTube chat here and joining our Patreon today. I want to help you live the best life you can, and I'm doing that by giving you practical philosophy, parables, and entertainment that uplifts you and gives you powerful information so you can start changing your life today. So commit to becoming a maker and join the Parliament of Owls today. Let's get into some reading, shall we?
Yes, sir.
All righty, let's go. Who do we got up first?
Up first is Corey.
Awesome. Now, if this is our Q&A section, this is the end of the show. If you guys want to interact and engage, you've got some personal... I didn't really understand that. That was a little confusing. Totally get it. This is the time now to start engaging with us. We will sprinkle those questions here and out through the reading section, and this is a little bit more of a laid-back part. If you would like to donate for a reading as well, you can support us on the Cash App at $Ask a Wizard. Pay whatever you think the wisdom is worth, and I greatly appreciate it. We have people who have donated thousands of dollars. We've had people who have given $3. It is not a metric at all. It is simply what we just talked about. Investing in the wisdom so that you take action. Put the money down that is going to help you take action on the wisdom, what you can afford, and what the wisdom was worth. If it doesn't resonate with you, don't pay anything at all. It's fine. Not a big deal at all. And if you're in a place that's financially tight right now, your time and your energy is an investment as well. This is purely from your heart. You know what the right thing to do is. Choose what you want. Don't concern yourself with it. Alrighty, let's go ahead here. Who do we have up first?
Corey.
Corey, anything in particular we're getting some insights on, or we're just gonna fly in with a general reading?
She had to leave, so I would say general.
General reading. All right, Corey, we'll have this for you on the replay for you, because Corey is an owl, has access to the Discord, access to the archive. Be ashamed to not be one of them, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wrong song. Going for a general reading here. All right, so looking into the past for you here, Corey. Looking into the past, we see the 7 of Swords. Very interesting. So this tells us that we have been on a pursuit lately where we're trying to find the secret information. We're trying to figure out what's the trick. What's that one thing that's going to change everything? Oh, the real reason everyone else has success is because they know the secret information I don't know. What I'm here to tell you is it's not true. It's not the secret information. It's not principles. It's not anything of the nature of I need to know this super secret special stuff. The real secret to life comes from understanding the core principles. Once you understand what the core principles, the 80-20 of something is, you can then use those principles to find the true secrets. So true secrets are not found in a special secret opportunity, but instead are found in your understanding of the core principles at such a fundamental level that you're able to see something that other people can't. The Intelligent Investor talks about this. It's a book called The Intelligent Investor, where by looking at the market with true eyes and seeing it for what it is, a valuation, you can see what others can't because they're blinded by their emotions. Because they are persuaded by rhetoric, they can't see the true value of things, and you can find things that are at a discount that others can't. If you can master this skill, you can make ungodly amounts of money just by finding out what is at a discount and what is overpriced. And if you only buy when things are at a discount, you'll be a success. Figure out the core principles of what you're trying to do and learn to have that level of perception. Moving into the present, we see the Ace of Wands popping up for you here, Corey. So this is about beginning a new spiritual journey. This is about learning the core principles. So what this is actually tying in directly with what we just talked about. It's saying that the core thing you need to focus on right now is figuring out what the principles are. And so this lecture we just did is going to help you phenomenally because you need to get to that core principle. I think what's happening is you're learning surface level informations, tactics, strategies, but you aren't looking at what's happening at the fundamental level. You got to get to that core level, and then the tactics and strategies make sense. But you can accumulate all the secrets and knowledge you want. It's not going to make sense until you learn the fundamentals of what you're trying to do. So just keep that in mind and make sure that there's going to be all these things pop up for you, man. It's going to be so horrible. You're going to see here's the one secret you need to know to fix this problem. This is the key. If you don't have this, it'll never work. Forget it, okay? You need to relax, figure out what am I doing at a core level, and then see if the tricks and strategies apply. Don't get those two mixed up. I've done that myself plenty of times, and let me tell you, it never ends well. Let's go ahead and take a look into the future here for you. Oh, okay. And what we see is the Six of Cups. All right, so the Six of Cups is about a grind in emotions, and this is an important principle you're going to have to understand. When you start going on this journey of finding those core principles, you're going to have an emotional grind. It's going to feel like you are not making progress. You're going to look at yourself and you're going to say, I don't have any results. It's not working. What's wrong with me? Why do I suck? You have to take that as a challenge. And that's what the Six of Cups is about, is the negative emotions hitting you and you pounding through, grinding through it and saying, yes, I feel like crap. I hate how this isn't working. I don't care. I am going to still do the principles. I know it's not working. I am going to do the principles. And so that is the challenge ahead of you, is learning that you can feel like crap, you can not feel motivated, and you can still do the right thing. Motivation is not the key here. The key is being able to take action even when you're not motivated and making sure that motivation is going towards core things that get the job done. So that's the reading I have there popping up for you, Corey. I hope that helps you out. Hope that gives you some insights. Let me know in the comments below if that helped you out, and we will move on to another reading, shall we?
Up next is Uriel.
Uriel, welcome, Uriel. Anything in particular?
And general, and Uriel would also like to know any book recommendations you have.
Yes. I mean, there's thousands of books I could recommend you. It would probably be helpful to know more, like, is there something particularly you're trying to work through? Like, as a general read, every person should be reading The Trial and Death of Socrates. Every person should be reading Marcus Aurelius's Meditations. These are core books that will change every person's life. But if there's something specific that you want to learn, I can help a little bit more with that. Also, how does the chat feel about me with being a pumpkin today? I didn't get any comments on being a pumpkin. I went out, I got the hat, I got the glasses, I got the green, and I got the orange. I want to know, am I a good pumpkin? Tell me, am I a good pumpkin? I want to hear. Am I a pumpkin? What do they say?
I think you're a good pumpkin.
Thank you. I need constant positive feedback. Best. I need everything to be about how great I am all the time, or I lose my mind.
True.
Let's go ahead here and get a reading going. And I'm sorry, could you? The name is a little difficult for me. Arelsia or Ursula?
Uriel?
Uriel? Uriel is kind of like Ariel, but with a U.
Like Ariel with a U.
Got it.
Uriel.
Uriel.
And Uriel would like self-reflection type of books.
Self-reflection. That's a deep question. I mean, you're not going to get better off than the Bible when it comes to self-reflection. I mean, you flip through that thing, but the thing with the Bible is it's a deck to the face. It's not like this soft, weak philosophy of the East is just not a powerful tool, in my opinion. The balance, oneness. No, the Bible's like, boom, you suck. This is why you suck, and you have always sucked. Now fix it. And that's like, you're like, oh, holy crap. So depending on which one you would go for, that's probably going to be your preference. The Bible, particularly Proverbs, is great for that. And then if you're looking for a little more of a gentle touch, you might be able to go to the Tao Te Ching. I can't pronounce that and I won't, but that's a more soft approach if you're into that kind of thing. I'd recommend the Bible because it's far more effective and actually gets the results. But if you need a softer touch, the Tao Te Ching is there. I don't know how to pronounce it. Type it in and you'll see it somewhere.
Maybe. I have good news.
Yes?
Uriel is actually Fred, so a lot easier to pronounce.
Oh, good to know. Good to know. All right, let's get Fred a reading here. Sorry about that. My soundboard is in the way. Okay. Looking into the past here for Fred. I pick up something right off the bat with Fred, that there's something going on with a female in his life right now. There's like a lack of respect. I'm sensing this this desire. It's like, come on, like, can you have a little empathy with me? I'm always empathizing with you, and I'm not feeling that empathy coming back here. And what I would recommend with that situation is honest communication, direct dialogue. It might actually spark some controversy. It might be a tough conversation to have, but until you do, that's not going to resolve itself. That's just something that's coming to me intuitively here. Let's take a look at what the cards have to say, though. Interesting. So we see the Knight of Swords popping up in the past. So what this is telling me is the curse of overthinking. This is based off of the Solomon, and the King of Swords is the classic problem of thinking about thinking about thinking about thinking. It's what if this happens, and then if this happens, and then if this happens. The problem is you can spend a good chunk of your entire life thinking about things that never actually happen. And so this can become a circular trap that eats up a huge amount of your time and worry. So we need to look into the present to figure out how to break ourselves out of this track. How do we stop thinking about thinking? Let's take a look. Interesting. So what we see popping up is the Nine of Cups. So what this is telling us is that right now, the reason that we would keep thinking is because we are in search of a stronger set of circle of friends. So the Nine of Cups is about gaining abundance of friendships and relationships. So the thing that's stressing us out right now is that we are trying to figure out what the right path is, and because of the circle around us, it's making us worry. Well, they said that I should be worried about this political thing. Maybe I should be worried about this environment. Maybe I should be worried about this business, this economy. There's all these different things to think about that are coming in through your social circle, and by setting yourself up with people who, instead of saying, here's why we're going to be victims and there's no hope, we need to surround ourselves with people who are instead giving us positive energy. People who say, wow, things are going crazy in the economy right now. Imagine the opportunities. Imagine what's possible. wow, things are looking crazy. I wonder how we'll solve that problem. I wonder what people will do to figure out how to fix this. And so that's what we want to start trying to surround ourselves with more, is people who are thinking. And keep in mind, this is a subtle principle. Many people will miss this. They have to hear it quite a few times before they get it. Is the problem of, I'm not saying that there aren't bad things. Horrible things are going to happen in the future. Look at me, I'm a prophet. You know, it's like, of course horrible things will happen in the future. Here's one of them. You're all gonna die one day. You know that? That's a pretty bad thing, right? It's not about bad things never happening. They do. It's about how you approach the bad thing that's coming. How can I use this in a positive, uplifting, good way? It's a perspective on the situation, and that's what's really going to help you. And it's very difficult to build that when you're surrounded by other people who are just nipping at your heels, trying to bring you down to their level. Because if you start succeeding, guess what happens? They say it as proof that there's a way out. And the reason that they're not getting out is now their fault. So they're going to tell you you're lucky. They're going to tell you that you're wrong. They're going to tell you you're crazy, and they're going to try everything in their power to bring you down. That's why you got to lift yourself out of that situation. And that doesn't mean you have to go and cut people out of your life. Sometimes it does. But you can surround yourself in this day and age with the internet. You can surround yourself with positive information, positive podcasts, positive YouTube channels that are just about building, growing, creating beautiful things, and surround yourself in a digital landscape to lift yourself up. And I would cut out social platforms that are producing fear and anxiety for you personally. I think that instead of cutting out your current social circle, cut out your social circle online. If you're following people who are like, it's the end of the world, the economy's going to collapse, Biden and Trump did this, just cut that out. You don't want that kind of poison in your mind. Let's take a look into the future. Interesting. Wow, this is going to be a wild time for you, Fred. Oh, I hope you come back, because I want to hear how this journey goes. We see the hangman popping up. So what this tells us is that right now you get to do a fun experiment. Ask yourself in every situation, what if I did the exact opposite of what my instincts tell me? What if I did the opposite? What if I want to make $3,000 a month? Maybe that's your goal. Make it $50,000, or try to lose $3,000. How would I lose $3,000? Start, and now I'm not saying to act on that information, but what I want you to do is start thinking about things in the opposite perspective. This is not to say going the opposite direction is always right. What it's going to do is break you out of cognitive patterns. These are called paracosmic thinking trails. So basically, your unconscious mind creates narrative structures and then causes those to turn into habits, and then you just do them on autopilot. When you break that pattern, you get to rethink it with your conscious brain, and you can say, is this working for me? Is this the right perspective? Am I doing the right thing? And so try that out for a week. Just ask yourself, I want to lose 100 pounds. How would I gain 100 pounds? And then see what your brain tells you, because in a lot of cases, your mind knows intuitively what it needs to do. So what would happen in the case of, I want to lose 100 pounds. Okay. And so I want to gain 100 pounds. How would I do that? Well, I'd start drinking a lot of alcohol. I'd eat a crap ton of food, and I would do nothing with my life, right? That's a great way to get fat really, really fast. So what's the core principle? What's hiding in that? Flip it. Don't drink alcohol. Don't eat a bunch of food. Work out. Your brain knows how to solve this problem already, and you're just not looking at it. You're trying to find the secret deep diet. It's the slow carb diet. It's vegan. It's keto. It's it's not. You need to eat less. You need to drink less, and you need to do more activities. You know what the answers are, and this is going to start revealing those to you. So that's the reading I had there for you today, Fred. Hope that helps you out. Hope that gives you some insights. Let me know in the comments below if that helped you out, and we're going to move on to, what are we moving on to, Peeps?
We are moving on to Rayla for a general reading.
Welcome, Rayla.
And then Thomas.
And then Thomas.
Well, for Thomas's girlfriend, Liz.
Thomas's girlfriend, Liz. I like that. I've heard of your gospel. I'm not the biggest fan, Thomas. I've got questions. I got questions, all right? Little skeptical on that Gospel of Thomas. Seems a little shady if you ask me. Oh, well, the Bible, it was removed from it. Yeah, maybe it was removed for a good reason, Thomas. Maybe. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe the thousands of years of scholarly research into the Bible. Maybe Thomas Aquinas. I don't know. Somebody. Let's get Rayla reading here. By the way, Rayla, legend of the community here, came in, started getting advice, looking for a job, took her principles, applied the knowledge, and now has a job. She has succeeded in achieving the pinnacle of what it means to be an owl, to not hear information, but to act on information. That is the key. Everything I tell you is a complete waste of your life if you don't apply it. You have to use the wisdom or it's useless. And I don't want you to be useless. Makes me sad. Alrighty, what do we got here? Looking into the past for Rayla here. Ooh, we see that you started a new intellectual journey. That's probably in relationship to what we were just talking about here. So what this is telling me is that Rayla started this new principle, this new, I can learn a skill, I can learn how to apply for jobs, I can learn systems thinking, and I can apply that wisdom and act on it in the real world. So we see that you started that journey in the past and it seems to have gone very well for you. And that's going to bring you right up into the present moment, which is, okay, I figured out how to do that. Now what's the next steps? Where do we go from here? Let's take a look. Interesting. So what we see popping up now is the Six of Pentacles. This is a beautiful card to see popping up. So what this is telling us is that this is about the grind period in the material. So now that you've put yourself in a position where you're producing value for other people, what you can do to make way more money than everyone else in your position is by learning how to extract value. So what I want you to do is no matter what your job is, you could be a barista at Starbucks, it does not matter. Whatever your job is, you are in a business. And a business does not stand in America unless they're doing quite a few things right. And so, what you want to start studying is why. I want you to just start asking yourself, why is this working? Why do people come to this business? Why do they put the Starbucks logo the way that they do? Why do they stack the clothes in the clothing shop the way that they do? Why are those the clothes they've chosen? How would I make this business more profitable? What are they doing right and what are they doing wrong? Start taking notes at your job, not on the job. That might be a little, it depends what kind of job you have. Maybe some might be on board with it. Do this on your free time. Treat your job as a source of data and information to grow. Then, on top of this, you want to say, what skills do I need to learn so that I could do something like that too? And now you've just opened up a whole platform of education for yourself on YouTube where you can go and find people who do those things, learn from them, and move up the tier of life as you gain more and more valuable skills by studying a successful business from the ground up. So that would be my recommendation there for you. Let's take a look into the present or the future. Wow. Okay. So what we see is the moon popping up. So the moon is a really fun time. A lot of people get a little scared of the moon. I love the moon because I love chaos. So the moon is saying that be on the lookout for a wild adventure. When you start this process that we just talked about, it's going to feel kind of like you're waking up out of the Matrix. You're going to be like, whoa, what is going on? And then here's the crazy part. That same thinking, it's not going to just happen at work. You're going to start doing it everywhere. You're going to see it when you go get a coffee. You're going to see it when you go to the movie theater. You're going to see it when you're at the grocery store. You're going to start thinking that way, and the whole world is going to throw you into this whole chaotic mess, this new lens of reality. You're going to see the whole world with fresh eyes. And once you're able to see the world with fresh eyes, it's going to be a chaotic, sometimes even a little scary, because you'll start to see discrepancies. And then you'll start to wonder, that's weird, because the flashing boxes, social media, the news tell me that this is popular, but when I go to the store, no one's buying that. Why is that shelf just full? Everyone says, you got to go vegan, you got to eat healthy. Why is the vegan section always full and everything else is taken? What's going on here? And so those kinds of questions are going to put you down a path towards massive success and a happy life, but it will be a little scary and a little chaotic. So be prepared for that. And that's what I have for you here today, Rayla. I hope that helps you out. I hope that gives you some insights. Let me know in the comments below if that helped you out. And we're going to move on to not Thomas, but Thomas's girlfriend, Liz.
Liz.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Let's get the reading going for Liz here. Anything in particular we need to do for Liz? I should have asked this about an hour. I should have asked this about an hour ago, but is the meditation music too loud? I hope it's not. I hope it's not just me going.
I don't think so.
For the whole time. Okay, just want to make sure. I would be saddened if that was the case. Very much saddened. All right. And do we have any Q&As that I need to address before we move on to Liz, or shall we hop along on?
I think hop along on.
Oh, that is good to hear. That means that we communicated the message well. You have received the information, and now it's all on you. If it doesn't work, you suck. It's all your fault. I told you how to do it. Now you got to go and apply it. Go out there and crush. You got this.
So Liz is a new mom. Ooh. She has a 1-month-old baby.
Oh, that's adorable. I sense great futures for this baby. I think he's a smart baby. Is it a he or she? I don't care. Either way, it's a smart baby.
The baby.
Confident baby. Beautiful baby. Wonderful baby. Good things happen. All the good things are happening. Hold on, let me make sure. Fantasticness. There we go. Fantastic baby. Bring all the baby blessings that I can bestow upon you, which isn't much. I'm a guy calling himself a wizard on the internet, but Christ himself, he can bring some pretty amazing blessings, and I will keep your baby in my prayers. Let's do some readings for Liz. Isn't it crazy how just the idea of a baby just brings joy into a life? Like, he's just like, yes! It's like a puppy, but more. It's like a 10x puppy.
Because it's just a little baby.
Yes, indeed. Looking into the past, we see for Liz. Ooh, very interesting. So the Page of Swords. So the Page of Swords is about this experience where it's... we're in the beginner learning phase. We're starting to learn something new, and we're inexperienced with it. And so it can feel a little daunting. It feels almost like, I don't really know what I'm doing. It's like that first day at work, and it can be a little scary at first. Now, what's cool to know is that a lot of what you're learning is actually not that important. And so you don't need to be too concerned about doing everything right if you apply what we just talked about today, the Pareto principle. So what are the core principles that would go into this new venture? In this case, I'm thinking of your new child. You're on this new adventure. What are the Pareto principles of really just giving the best chance for your kid? And what are the ways that you can set them up for success? And instead of focusing on the 1,000 different, if you do any of this, it's over, you'll doom your child. It's not true. You need to figure out what the core foundations are and get those things right. And if you do, you're going to set your kid up for way more success than if you're trying to micromanage all these little details for them. I'm telling you, I know one of them is teaching them philosophy. If you teach them how to think logically, the dialectic thinking, this is a beautiful study that came out on this. If you teach a 5-year-old the basic principles of logic, and that's how simple it is, by the way. A lot of people hear philosophy and they think, oh, I have to be a genius. 5-year-olds can understand this process. If you teach them the fundamentals, if this, then that, if this, then that, a logical contradiction doesn't work. And the basic principles of the dialectic, it is one of the biggest advantages you can give a child in its life for school, for work, for career, for income. It blows things out of the water. So highly recommend learning the basics of the dialectic and start doing it at as young as you can. And children naturally do the dialectic before the school system starts torturing them. And that's the common thing. What is every kid in the world always asking? Why? 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 Why though? Why? That's Socratic dialogue. They're thinking logically, intuitively. That's the way that a human is supposed to be. Instead of smacking it down, I know it's annoying, I know it's frustrating, but instead encourage that. As say, I don't know why. Why don't we try and figure that out? Huh, it's a great question. Why do you need to go to bed at 8:30? Is that the best time? Why don't we look this up? What is the advantage of you going to bed at this time? What are the disadvantages? You know what? I found out I'm wrong. It's better for you to do this and that, and so on and so forth. Encourage that. Do not squander that. Looking into the present here, let's take a look. Oh, that's beautiful. What a wonderful card. So we see abundance, joy, and happiness. And look at that. A happy baby with a happy son. That is the sun card popping up right there. So what this is saying is that you're in a situation right now of just fruitfulness and abundance. It's new life, new adventures, new potential, new possibilities, and just a beacon of power and energy. And you're going to discover you're starting to get older and you think, oh, I'm just not what I used to be. You're going to find out a child motivates you like nothing else. This is a brand new breakthrough moment. It's going to be like a rebirth because now you have a new thing to live for. You have a new thing to dream for. You have a higher ambition for yourself. And in fact, they have a study on this. They showed that the 2 biggest income increases in a man's life are when he gets married and when he has a kid. And that's because of that motivational factor. And that doesn't just apply to the man, but it also applies to the woman as well in terms of overall life satisfaction and goals and growth and things of that nature. So be on the lookout for that huge burst. It probably doesn't feel like it right now. You're probably really tired. You're probably wondering, when is this kid going to go to sleep? Totally normal. But I would also look into that because there's a lot of research on how you can actually optimize to make that better for your child, but also for yourself. Now let's look into the future here. Ooh, we see the devil. Dun, dun, dun. Don't freak out. Don't worry. I know a lot of people are like, oh, this is a cursed card. No, it's not at all. What the devil talks about is basically avoiding a trap. So there is a trap, and in this context, what we want to avoid is what's called the devouring mother. The devouring mother archetype is where you try to overmanage your child, try to control every aspect of their life to keep them perfectly safe. Now, when they're a child, that makes sense. That's a perfect instinct. You want that in the beginning because they're defenseless. That's what a child, what's he going to do? He can just crawl and cry. There's nothing he can do. And so it's a beautiful instinct to have, but it can become a poison. Because if you hold on to that and you do not let the child go and experience and confront the real world, maybe that's the fact that he or she's going to try and walk and they might tumble over and fall down. That's not good. They might hurt themselves, but they have to confront danger if they're going to be successful because the real world is dangerous. The real world has risk. Now, do we want to take this to the extreme and let our little 3-year-old run into cars? Of course not. Of course not. There are obvious safety precautions, but you need to make sure that there is a balance that is struck here so that you do not let that beautiful part of yourself, that maternal instinct, become a detriment, because that's what the devil loves to do the most, is take the beautiful gifts that God has given you, that beautiful soul you have, and turn it on its head and make it evil. That nothing brings the devil more pleasure. So be fearful of that and avoid that at all cost. And that is the reading I have there for you today. I hope that helps you out. I hope that gives you some insights. Let me know in the comments below if that helped you out. And I believe that is all we have for today. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Is there anything else we need to talk about? Anything else we need to discuss?
I don't believe so.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you guys all for joining us today. I hope you liked getting a peek behind the curtain. This is the kind of information that you can expect in the OWL community. We do a lot of private streams, unlisted streams, email invite only, and the goal is to communicate these ideas. As you can see, these are ideas that are pretty high level. The average person cannot keep up with these. There is a big gap, and our education system has been built to make you dumb and stupid and not able to even to be repulsed by this information. In fact, you may have felt some triggers of the beast that have been hooked into you during this. I say some things that are just true, and it makes you no, that's not true, no, that's wrong, that's bad, that's not good, we're not supposed to think about that. If you felt that, just realize that's okay, and that's what the beast system has done to you. It's poisoned you. It's hurting you. But you can break free at any time. It's horrible what they have done to you. It is horrible what you've been taught. But you can stop now. And you can become better. And you can grow. And you can break free today. So choose to learn. Choose to grow. Choose to get new information. And consider supporting us at the Parliament of Owls on Patreon. And help us continue to put out powerful information that can change your life with practical philosophy today. Thank you for all joining.
Thomas. Oh, sorry.
Yes? Oh, what was that?
Thomas just said that she just ate the baby. So
she ate the baby? Oh boy, that would be a perfect example of the devouring mother. You might want to go talk to Oedipus. I think that he's into that kind of thing. And
it's like the video, don't be yourself, be a Greek god. Maybe not the Greek god that eats their children.
Yes, exactly. And there's the or the stompy bunny archetype. That is if you want to go dark, look into what rabbits do with their kids, and realize that those same genetic tracings are in the human culture, and it's bifurcated. It gets very scary. And when you start realizing the commonalities between rabbit behaviors of mammals and wolf behaviors of mammals, and then you look at the political spectrum, it's pretty freaky. It's an alarming thing. I have to study that, of course, for rhetoric, marketing, persuasion, advertising, and that's how you make money. Is I need to sell to the wolf selected types of people, so you want to sell on this, and then if I want to sell to the rabbits, you sell them with this. But I won't give it any labels. But what comes to mind when I tell you perhaps there's a political party that constantly is trying to invent and develop threats that are overwhelming and unstoppable, that can't be, but maybe if I complain and yell at the sky enough, they'll change. Now, flip it on the inverse. Anything come to mind when I say people who are hunters, people who want to protect their own, protect their family, and keep them safe? Anything come to mind? It's pretty weird. It's a deep rabbit hole to go down, but the psychology of it is just insane. I'm telling you, it's wild. It's definitely something the beast system would censor. Is that all?
That is all. Yep.
Alrighty. Thank you guys for tuning in. I will see you all soon. Talk to you later. Thanks for all the support. Glad to see you guys here, and I will talk to you all later. Have a good evening. Peace.
I don't have the time, bro, I don't wear a watch. I'ma move regardless, just like the clock. been around here before, I've been on this block. 25 to life bit, I live on this rock. Planet Mars, dog, my planet raw. Took trips and landed far. Took hits I can't ignore. My chest got a black hole. I dealt with a black crow. White dove, a black soul. Wipe off my past clothes. I try to get away from it. Not trying to let the vapors in. Time fly when you wasting it. Fast life, I was racing it. And I knew I had to pay for it. Always knew that I was made for this. My path, I paved the shit. My path, my grave in it. So past lives, they hover over like crows. Just like I hover over my code. All hail, almighty freedom I chose. Tall tales, my eyes see to my road. Don't look at the clock, I don't even got time. I seen people ride, I seen people stop, I seen people let it pass by. I seen evil, maybe that's why. I see needles next to that wine. I seen demons and I seen signs. I need reason, you don't need mine. Once I took a roll of that dice, that shit took control of my life. Twice I paid the toll for that price. Nights and days, hoping I'd fight. Knives and blades, open my sight. Guide the way over my spite. I was made as I was built. Flowers fade and flowers wilt till past lives, they hover over like crows. Just like I hover over my code. All hail, almighty freedom I chose. Tall tales, my eyes see to my road. And send you back home. My God of peace, my God of war, my own. So much I've been shown. All hail, almighty freedom I roam.